We're live from our studios here, number 35, John Hammond Street in Accra. Hello, good afternoon to you. Welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 927, also on all our social media platforms at 3FM 92.7. My name is Noble Crosby Annan. Coming up this afternoon, rescue efforts underway for trapped illegal miners after the death of people in Impesetia in the Ashanti region. Meanwhile, 11 alleged miners arrested yesterday in the western region to appear before court today. We shall bring you the latest on this development shortly. Plus, prime suspect in murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Swale charged with abetment and murder after prosecution filed fresh charges. We get details shortly. Also coming up, government said to receive plans for the roadmap in privatization of ECG and NETCO. We have all the details of these stories and a lot more coming to you shortly. Please stay with us. Welcome to the program. Let's start off from here. A search to recover more suspected missing bodies is currently ongoing at an illegal mining site at Yawankwanta near Impesetia in the Ashanti region. 2 persons have already been confirmed dead after the mine collapsed on Tuesday. Local authorities have called for urgent intervention. My colleague William Evans Income has paid attention to this story. He's joining us with all the latest development on this unfortunate incident. Evans, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Good afternoon to you. What more can you report?
Well, Crosby, so hope is fast fading. They're hoping that they could recover more bodies because, according to the miners themselves, some are still stuck in there. But the only problem has to do with the method they've employed as far as this exercise is concerned. So they're only using pickaxe and shovel for this one. We sought to inquire why not an excavator that could possibly accelerate the rate. But they tell me they were unable to hire excavator because they don't have the money or the means. So as I speak to you now, the police is around. The locals are together with some officers from NADMO also trying their best to see if they'll be able to recover anybody. But as I speak to you now, no one has or nobody has been recovered since the last 2.
I see. So the police is around, NADMO is around, and they're using pickaxes and shovels to search for the remains of the people they believe may be trapped.
Well, absolutely. That is the situation now.
I see. What has NADMO been saying about this?
Well, so the people around have been very economical. They're only taking data or information from the miners and also some holding pickaxe together with the indigents to at least see if they'll be able to recover any more body. Beyond that, they are not saying anything.
I see. But do we know the number of people approximated to be under the rubble?
Some are saying 4. For instance, one committee member that I spoke to said 4. The other miners are also saying 3. So, I mean, the figures are the numbers are quite conflicting at the moment.
And for the residents in the community themselves, how are they reacting to the news? First, the death of these 2 people and their unavailability of apparatus to find the bodies.
Well, it's only one person that they've been able to identify, Kwame Titi, who is a driver here. As I speak to you now, I'm in even the house of the wife, or the wife's family house. He's the only person identified as a community member or an indigent. The others, we understand, they are people from other places.
I see. Evans, thank you. This is something we'll definitely stay on, and we'll bring you details in a subsequent bulletins. William Evans Income has been speaking with us from Yawankwanta near Impesetia in the Ashanti region. Let's take a listen to what one of the miners had to say.
We made it clear that in order to effectively deal with the menace of Galamsey, you needed a holistic strategy. a sustainable approach to the fight against Galamsey. And so these days, when I monitor the media and I hear the things being foisted on his...
We apologize for the wrong insert there. But let's still stay on some matters of illegal mining, because 11 alleged illegal miners arrested yesterday in the Western region. They are scheduled to appear in court today. The 11 miners, comprising 4 Chinese nationals and 7 Ghanaians, were arrested by the Western Regional Police Command in Takwa, mining along the Bonsa River illegally. For more on this, let's cross over to our Western Regional correspondent, Irama Smith, who has details of the ongoing developments there, so that she speaks with us and answers questions in relation to what the situation on this is. But we'll reconnect with Irama Smith on the back of this, because we understand that these 11 alleged miners, they were arrested yesterday and they are to appear in court today. They comprise 4 Chinese nationals and 7 Ghanaians, and they were arrested by the Western Regional Police Command in Takwa. They saw them mining along the Bonsa River, and they were doing the mining illegally. Irama Smith has been following the development. She'll be joining us, provide us with more updates in relation to this conversation. But ACP Bismarck Ejapon is the Deputy Western Regional Central Police Commander. He has also been speaking with my colleague Irama Smith on this development. Let's take a listen to him now.
We made it clear that in order to effectively deal with the menace of Galamsey, you needed a holistic strategy, a sustainable approach to the fight against Galamsey. And so these days, when I monitor the media and I hear the things being foisted on His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama and the NDC, and I'll tell you what is being foisted. We never made the promise that we're going to end the Galamsey menace in a matter of a week or a month. It is not accurate.
Or 3 months.
Or 3 months. We never said so. At every point of the way, His Excellency President Mahama made clear his position on the fight against Galamsey and indicated that just like how we confronted the issue of Dumso under him, it needed a holistic and sustainable approach if indeed, as a country, we are committed to resolving Dumso. It is not for nothing that if you go through our first 100 days, 120 days pledge that we made, you do not see anywhere in those 26 promises where President Mahama has said that I would end illegal mining in a matter of 120 days. We could have said that because we knew that the fight is odious. And we knew that to be able to succeed, there was the need for us to put in place measures that could be sustainable in terms of that fight. That is why we didn't make that promise. So, Roland, I charge anybody monitoring this morning to go back to the 120-day pledge His Excellency President Mahama and the National Democratic Congress made to the good people of this country, and point out where we have indicated that we would end illegal mining in a matter of 3 months. We never said so. Even regarding the repeal or subsequent amendment of LI 2462, you will not find that in our 120-day pledge, though we made a commitment.
Well, that's the voice of a member of the NDC's communication team, Hamza Suhini, saying that the NDC never stated a stipulated time to end Galamsey in the country. According to him, none of the 26 promises in the president's 120-day pledge says President Mahama will end illegal mining in Ghana within 3 months. And that was the voice of Hamza Suhini there. Let's now take a listen to what Arocha Ghana is also saying about the development. Daryl Bosu is the Deputy National Director of Arocha Ghana.
Certainly, we lost an opportunity during the transition period, and a lot has happened. People have now taken siege in our first reserve. They are fully armed, they are ready to defend their turf. But we cannot allow these people to win. The state has more power, more logistics, more people who are more committed to dealing with it than the few people who are claiming they don't respect the rule of law in this country. So we believe that the government can do more, but they are not so far really living up to that expectation, unfortunately. And if you look at some of the incidents of, for example, cases coming from NG, from the court, issues with the police, and even sometimes how we are handling the excavators that are confiscated and all of that. The presidency, the executive can do more in dealing with Galamsey. So far, I'll say that it's for me a touch and go. We are not showing some dedication as we promised before we took power. And for example, if we take the LIG position, and I'm happy I've heard colleague panelists really talk very seriously about the issue. The presidency promised to really revoke LIG position. We are now in power. We have every opportunity to do that, and then we just go in with something of a gesture of an amendment, when we know that this amendment will not contribute to really solving the problem that we are confronted with. So the process the government put out there is very, very important.
And that's the voice of Daryl Bosu reacting to the recent development concerning illegal mining there. This is still the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. Let's bring you some more stories this afternoon. As chairman of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, James Agalga has criticized the minority in Parliament for being disingenuous in government's effort to fight drug trafficking and money laundering. His comment follows calls by the ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee, Reverend Tim Fojo, for investigations into alleged aircraft suspected transportation of cocaine and cash into Ghana. Now, President John Dramani Mahama, he subsequently directed national security operatives to investigate these allegations. James Agalga said the MPP failed to fight the menace.
So they are acting under a new leadership. They are acting under a new government. Now there is some impetus for them to act. There is incentive for them to act, because the new government simply has zero tolerance for the narco trade. And let me give you the example of the cocaine that was impounded, which was moving from the direction of Cape Coast to Accra. The cocaine was concealed in a tipper truck, right? But national security managed to detect through intelligence and intercepted them. Do you know the street value of the cocaine that was impounded? It's around $350 million. This is not like what used to happen under the watch of the MPP administration. You recall how the MP Benjamin brought cocaine into this country under the watch of our security agencies. When the MP Benjamin ship finally entered our brick water.
Okay.
The cocaine was carted away. This was under an MPP administration.
Okay.
Meeting at the police headquarters, the NDC. We are doing the interception. And instead of the minority to praise us, they are rather crying wolf. Is this not shocking?
That's the voice of the chairman of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, James Agalga, speaking there. Away from that, the Ghana National Association of Teachers is giving the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service 1 month to implement its conditions of service. According to NAT, any further delays beyond April 30 could negatively impact the peaceful industrial climate of the country. In 2024, pre-tertiary teacher unions, including the National Association of Teachers, as well as the National Association of Graduate Teachers and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, went on strike over their conditions of service. This prompted the intervention of the National Labour Commission. Our Labour Affairs correspondent Daniel Opoku spoke to the General Secretary of NAT, Thomas Musa Tanko.
Let me take you to the Public Services Commission. The Public Services Commission, they have given teachers enough troubles in terms of promotion, in terms of upgrading, in terms of those who have reactivation, among other things. So today, we have written to the minister, and we have also brought same to the attention of the National Labour Commission, the Public Services Commission, We've informed Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, and we've also informed the Ministry of Employment, Employment and Jobs. We have also informed them that we're giving them 1 month to make sure they solve all these problems. Because failure to do so in the month of May, they won't have it easy with us. Yes. Because I have been to all the regions, and the teachers are not happy. And therefore, when I came back, I have to write officially to the Minister for Education. And I am hoping and expecting that all this outstanding business, Honorable Haruna Idrisi will make sure that it is done.
And that is the voice of Thomas Musa Tanko there. Now, to some other stories this afternoon, government is set to receive plans for the road mapping, privatizing the Electricity Company of Ghana and the Northern Electricity Distribution Company. The Mahama administration has reiterated its resolve to hand over management of the critical institutions into private hands, but has tasked experts to decide on how. Let's take you to the ministry now, where my colleague Eric Maunegbata is following up on this development. He has more updates for us. Eric, thank you so much for your time with us on the program. What has been happening at the ministry since you've been there today?
Crosby, at this particular point in time, the 7-member committee chaired by Jabeshimi Saratha, they submitted their report to the Energy Minister, where amongst many other things, they've identified a series of challenges and then profit solutions with respect to what can happen with respect to the privatization of the Electricity Company of Ghana. A number of the challenges quite well known in detail with respect to ECG's challenges with management, procurement, distribution losses, amongst many other things, a gap in tariff. All of those challenges are quite laid out there for all to know. But with respect to the solutions and what it is that they are offering to the government, they have 3, narrowed down from 8. The first is an outright entity concession, which was similar to what was seen in the PBS, where there's a complete takeover with respect to the management and administration of ECD for a specific time period, amongst many other things, and the whole distribution business is given out to a private concession. Then there is a multiple lease, where they make the argument that the concession should be broken up into parts, where it will be divided amongst a number of different private sector players to take over sectors with respect to the distribution. And so an entity could be responsible for the Greater Accra and Central region, another will be the Western and Western North, and it will be distributed in that part where efficiency and some others can be seen or brought to bear. The last is service franchise, where the private sector will take care of distribution to the homes of customers, amongst many other things. And in all of this, ECG will remain the asset owner with respect to everything that will happen. And so those are the recommendations which have been made there to the government, and then the expectation is that the government can pick it up from here across.
Right, Eric Marina, thank you so much for joining us with those updates. Eric Maunegbata speaking to us from the Energy Ministry there. Now, the Medina District Court has charged Daniel Osu-Kranting, the prime suspect in the murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Twali, with abetment and murder after prosecution filed new charges against the accused person. The police prosecution led by Chief Inspector Nana Ifua Banfo told the court that Daniel Kranting led 2 other alleged culprits currently alleged to the home of Ahmed Twali, where he was eventually shot and killed by unknown assailants. Joining me on the line is Lord Edward Saria, legal affairs correspondent. Lord, you've been in court today. What has been happening?
By Crosby, so essentially state prosecutors, or I should say police prosecutors in court today filed new charges or amended their charges to the court. Now, the old charge just had murder against the suspect in the matter, then also Kranting, but today they, upon amending their charges, they submitted a charge of abetment to which murder and then murder. Now, they indicated that from their investigations, it came up that 2 other persons, alleged culprits in the matter, who are currently at large, were sent to the home of the deceased, Amir Swale, by the suspect in the matter, Daniel Osu-Kwanting. Now, the prosecution led by Chief Inspector Ifwa Bamfo told the court that Daniel Kwanting also allegedly disguised himself somewhere in 2019 using the national NIA card details to register the SIM card so that he will not be identified. He was later accosted when he came back to the country. Crosby, the lawyer for Daniel Kwanting, in the person of Kofi Etel Hackman, did not agree with the charges. I mean, his stance has always been that his client is innocent, and then the charges proffered against him are not absolute or correct as it stands. And so the charges were read to Daniel Kwanting, but his plea wasn't taken. Note that because this is the district court, it won't be taken until they get further advice from the Attorney General, and then it's escalated to the High Court. So his plea wasn't taken, but then his lawyer pleaded with the court to grant him bail, indicating that he's been in police custody since 12th of March and was praying that the court to bail him or save him from the powers of the police to sort of grant him some level of reprieve. But the prosecution objected to the bail application, indicating that investigations are still underway and that if the bail is granted to Daniel, it will obstruct the investigations. And so the presiding judge in the matter, Susan Nyakote, remanded Daniel Kwanting again into custody and then asked him to reappear before the court on April 17th. Crosby.
I see. Lord Edwasari, thank you so much for joining us with those updates from court there. Lord Edwasari is our court correspondent speaking with us there. This is still the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. We're live also on all our social media platforms at 3FM 927. Feel free to share your thoughts with us and your comments with us as we share them with the rest of the world as well. Let's bring you some more stories this afternoon. Now, the Roads Minister Kwame Agboja-Gavins has ordered two local contractors, and I'm talking about First Sky and Auto Investment Company Limited, to immediately mobilize to site to begin construction on the Sherman-Afinya stretch and the Tema motorway to the Dawinya stretch. The move is expected to bring significant relief to road users in those areas who have to endure hours in traffic commuting to and from the stretch. Addressed to journalists during a tour of the project site, the Adaklu MP expressed optimism that the duo would expedite remedial work on their respective portions to help reduce traffic time for road users.
Support of First Sky Group and then Oswald, who have been here with them trying to do sports improvement just to remedy some of the most terrible sections. So I thank them very much. We haven't paid them any money. They are doing this purely as support for the system. But when I'm ending, I'll tell you what I think we should do further. Yes, we were here a few weeks ago. And we met the contractors working on the Shama runabout to Atipoku, Inzak. And we drew their attention to the fact that it is their responsibility to keep maintaining the road, even as they construct. I haven't seen much work, especially since we left, in terms of Shama runabout to beyond Afienya. There were spots that we thought we could have remedied up to now. They haven't. BHM. They are not even available. That is the fact. They came to remedy a section that is TT Brothers traffic light and others. But all these sections which are still part of their contract, they didn't do much. That is why MMU came in. I think their concern is that they want to know whether government is committed to this. The president said it in the State of the Nation address that we are committed to complete this project. The finance minister said it in his budget statement that we are committed to do this. I said it in Canada. So I don't know what assurance they still need. They know the process as enshrined in the debt restructuring requires certain steps to be taken at certain times. So I feel disappointed that they have not delivered as required. But let them also be aware that the maintenance of the work and the site, as there is a breach. If they fail, it's a breach, and I could cite them for a breach of the contract as well. We also use this road from Afenya to Dowenya. This is also just less than 20 kilometers from Dowenya here, Afenya and Yokowa. A very important road. And we are working on the bills and the necessary contract documents. Within 2 months, we want this project to be started. And so all those suffering on this corridor, help is coming within 2 months. Hopefully, I hope I don't eat my words.
And that's the voice of the Roads and Highways Minister Kwame Agboja Gavers there. Now, the Veterinary Services Department has denied a reported outbreak of African swine fever in the Savannah regional capital of Damongo, leading to the deaths of hundreds of pigs in the municipality. The media reports further suggested that the disease was fast spreading in communities such as Canteen, Atributu, Borotu, and Sori number 1, all in the Savannah region. The Veterinary Services Department is, however, disputing these reports, although admitting that the only confirmed case of African swine fever's infection is in Kwewu West municipality of the eastern region, where samples from affected pigs were sent to the laboratory for confirmation after pig farmers reported several deaths among their livestock some 2 weeks ago. Let's have a conversation on the back of this and speak with an expert who has been following the development. Thank you so much for joining us. You are denying reports of suspected swine fever, but do we know what is actually killing these pigs in the communities there?
Okay, so good afternoon to your listeners. So we're not denying the report. So the report, yes, there was a case of that in Kwewu, but it happened in February this year. So depending on when they publish it, so I don't know when they were publishing. I think they should have changed the weeks ago. So it happened in February. So there was a case in Kwewu East in February. Samples of the pig was confirmed as it was in the report. Is there a date in the report that we disagree with? As we stand now, the case happened in February. It was contained in March. No case have been recorded in the country, and not even in Kwewu East. And as of yesterday, too, we had another information in the news about one in Damongo, which yesterday a team went in the afternoon, and just in the evening they gave a report. This morning they gave a report, and that place too, what was given was something that happened in 2023. No report of mortalities, seeing pigs dying or sick at the places. Not even for us to even get samples because we are not seeing sick animals. But they use the opportunity to talk to the farmers about the signs and symptoms so that in case they should see, we're able to go there. And there's one thing. Farmers, these services, veterinary services don't charge. It's of public good. It's what government pays us for to do. So the moment your animals are dying or sick, just call in straight away. They will come. Once it is a disease of a scheduled disease, that's a disease of importance, it's of economic good, and it's of public health, we will quickly be able to contain the issue. Just a bit of clarification. African swine fever is different from swine flu. African swine fever doesn't affect humans at all. It's just economic importance, whereby if a farmer has put in investment into about 1,000 pigs, and this disease strike, he may lose all. Sometimes at least it's 70%, but we end up losing all. That's a sad reality to it, and we give some time to follow periods before we start the production. And just to also use this platform to talk to all media houses that in case there's an alert, an outbreak, it will come from the Minister of Food and Agriculture upon the advice of the Chief Veterinary Officer. And currently we have our social media, and we are open for verification. So we could still help in this information.
Thank you so much, Dr. Benjamin Kisi Sasu. He is the Risk Communication Officer at the Veterinary Services Department of the Republic of Ghana, speaking with us there.
Breaking news on 3FM 92.7. Breaking news on 3FM 92.7.
Breaking news reaching us this afternoon indicates that President John Dramani Mahama has assented to a number of legislative bills aimed at abolishing several taxes, including the Electronic Transfer Levy, the E-Levy, the betting tax and emissions tax. While in opposition, the NDC, led by then flag bearer, promised to abolish some taxes to give relief to Ghanaians. At a short ceremony at the seat of government, the promise was delivered on by the president. So the news is that President John Dramani Mahama has assented to a number of legislative bills aimed at abolishing several taxes, including the Electronic Transfer Levy, the betting tax and the emission tax.
Breaking news on 3FM 92.7.
So stay with us. In our subsequent bulletins, we'll bring you details of this very latest. But that's how we wrap up on the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. There's more news on our website, 3news.com. My name is Noble Crosby Annan. Business News is up next with Bismarck Awusa. Have a great afternoon.
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3FM.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Awusa. Coming up this afternoon, inflation declines for third consecutive month to 22.4% in March, driven by easing food prices. We'll hear from government statistician Professor Samuel Kobena-Enim.
We saw general price levels of food prices between February and March 2025 going down by 0.2%. In other words, termed as deflation.
Also, Ghana cedi ranked 7th strongest currency in Africa despite depreciation in first quarter of 2025. We'll bring you details of Forbes currency ranking report. Plus, President John Mahama signs amended bills into law, abolishing betting tax, e-levy and emissions tax to ease financial burden on Ghanaians. We'll bring you details. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. Inflation has slowed for the third straight month to 22.4% in March from 23.1% the previous month. According to the Ghana Statistical Service, this is driven by ease in food price pressures. The easing of inflationary pressures is likely to be welcomed by the Bank of Ghana, which last week surprised the market with a 100 basis point interest rate hike to 28%, saying a tight monetary policy stance was needed to lower inflation. Professor Samuel Kobena-Enim is government statistician.
From a month-on-month perspective, general price levels of goods and services went up by 0.2% in the month of March 2025, indicating a 1.1 percentage point difference monthly inflation between February 2025, which stood at 1.3%, relative to 0.2% for the month of March 2025. Disaggregating monthly inflation from a food and non-food perspective, we saw general price levels of food prices between February and March 2025 going down by 0.2%. In other words, termed as deflation for the month of March 2025. Non-food inflation, in contrast, indicated an upward trend, indicating that between February and March 2025, general price levels of non-food items went up by 0.7% in the month of March 2025.
And that was government statistician Professor Samuel Kobena-Enim. Now, the Ghana cedi has been ranked as the 7th strongest currency in Africa as of the end of the first quarter of 2025, according to Forbes currency ranking. Despite this, the cedi depreciated by 5.3% on the interbank market and nearly 3% in the retail market. The following 3 Business News Desk report has the details. The Ghana cedi has secured the 7th spot among Africa's strongest currencies according to a Forbes ranking for the first quarter of 2025. With an exchange rate of 15 cedis 48 pesos to $1, the cedi maintained a relatively strong position despite facing depreciation pressures on both the interbank and retail markets. Data from the Bank of Ghana shows that the local currency lost 5.3% of its value on the interbank market and nearly 3% against the US dollar in retail trading. Analysts say this reflects ongoing foreign exchange demand pressures. At the top of the list, Tunisia's dinar was ranked the strongest currency in Africa, trading at 3.09 to the US dollar. It was followed by the Libyan dinar, Moroccan dirham, Botswana pula, Seychelles rupee, and Eritrean nakfa. Lesotho's loti, Namibia's dollar, and South Africa's rand completed the top 10. Forbes highlights that a strong and stable currency is a key economic asset, helping countries manage inflation and attract investment. In Kenya, for instance, steady foreign inflows from NGOs and remittances have helped stabilize the shilling. And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on the cedi ranking the 7th strongest currency in Africa as of the end of the first quarter of 2025, according to Forbes currency ranking. Now, news just coming in is that President John Mahama has assented to a set of amended bills, including the betting tax, e-levy tax, and emissions tax. The move aligns with the National Democratic Congress's manifesto promise to scrap what it described as burdensome taxes on businesses and individuals. Government officials say this decision is aimed at boosting economic activity and improving disposable incomes for Ghanaians. The abolished taxes, particularly the e-levy, had been a major point of contention since its introduction in 2022, with concerns over its impact on mobile money transactions. The removal of the emissions tax is also expected to provide relief for businesses in the transport and manufacturing sectors. The Finance Ministry is expected to outline measures to address any revenue shortfall from the scrapped taxes in the coming weeks. Meanwhile, the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications has welcomed the government's scrapping of the electronic transfer levy, e-levy, describing it as a positive step for financial inclusion. Speaking to 3 Business, CEO of the Chamber, Engineer Dr. Kenneth Eshigbe, commended the move, stating that the levy had been a major barrier to digital financial transactions and its removal would boost mobile money adoption.
And for our members, the mobile money companies, the EMIs, the electronic money issuers, with the volumes that are going to anticipated to go up, it would mean that there'll be a lot more revenue, there'll be a lot more profit that they will make, and the CIT that we're already paying, we're going to be able to pay a lot more of that. So in the long term, government is going to see an improvement in the economy. Because another thing that's also important that is going to happen is the fact that even for Bank of Ghana, the amount of money they spend in printing the currency notes and minting our coins, would see some downward trend. And then most importantly, there will be a lot of data that would be available to the policymaker on the monetary policy side and the fiscal policy side in terms of planning. And so planning and decision taking will be based on empirical evidence, based on the data that mobile money will do. Because you see, when you do cash, it's so opaque and nobody gets to see that. So I think for me, this is a positive step. And all of us, as citizens, as businesses, we need to commend the government for this bold decision that both the NDC and MPP were going to take. And the NDC has actually taken it. I think it's something that is commendable.
Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Engineer Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, he also further urged the government to go a step further by scrapping the COVID-19 levy on the telecom sector, arguing that it would help reduce the cost of data and improve access to digital services for Ghanaians.
The point has to be made that when we're having this conversation was not only the e-levy that we're hoping to go. The COVID levy, we're also hoping that to go. And so for the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, we were hoping that the cost of data was going to go down by that 1% COVID levy that's going to be taken. The minister tells us that with the review of the VAT that is envisaged, that is also going to happen. I've heard the minister talk about that before the end of the year. Before the end of the year is too long. we should be looking at doing this at the mid-year budget review. Review the COVID, make it more. Review the whole VAT, make it a VAT tax, not this combination of sales tax and VAT, where if you take the telecom sector, for example, the effective VAT, when you add all the levies to it, it's over 27%. And definitely when you do that, then the cost of data is going to be expensive, and this thing that is supposed to be a human right, is supposed to be a utility, will not be available for people to be able to do business.
Engineer Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe is Chief Executive of the Ghana Telecoms Chamber. Before we go, career coach and Chief Executive of Fibroid Foundation, Dr. Elizabeth Korasari, has advised Ghanaian students to prioritize diversification into various fields, particularly in technology, to remain employable in the future. Speaking at the Accra Technical University's International Women's Day 2025 celebration, themed Advancing Women's Role in the Digital Economy and AI Innovation, Dr. Kurasari warned that many jobs will be taken over by AI in the near future, and only those who position themselves and prepare adequately will be able to gain employment and maintain their current jobs.
These days, it is not just about one stream of income, or one stream of knowledge where you are thinking just about one academic career, but you can diversify into many fields. Diversifying into many fields, you need guidance. Without guidance, you wouldn't know the field where you can adequately fit yourself in. So it is an opportunity for those who have gathered here to know that there are women in technology. There are women who are doing things in the field of engineering. So the people we assembled here today is just to create an awareness that the technology field is not just for men or a men-dominated field, but any young girl who is desirous to go into ICT can easily do that.
Career coach and Chief Executive of Fibroid Foundation, Dr. Elizabeth Kurasari, ending Business Daily with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website 3news.com. Thanks for your company. Urban Blend continues with Black Rasta. Do stay.